Schooners! Football fans! This is your host Shatta together with Blackburn George and Ehab, your usual guests on YouTube on a Friday morning, my time. And it's the international break. And we're going to talk about the rumors and facts that have been coming across that I think are maybe of interest to you. I hope some of you are watching and listening us on Twitter. You eventually do. Some of you try your best to ignore Shatta, but you have to pay attention to him, right, George? And yeah. And today won't be a show about Ozil, trust me. Guys, I thought it was interesting that out of the international break, the first rumor that was floated heavily, and I can't remember the website because I was looking for it, was that the club would be selling Lacazette and was aiming to get Dominic Calvert Lewin or Ollie Watkins as his replacements. And it immediately struck me, because this is how the club operates these days, that this rumor had some legs. I think it was one of these PR sites like Football London, and if it's not Football London, please forgive me, but one of these sites that the club uses for PR purposes. And George, I was struck by it because I felt there was some substance to it. And then later in the day, the Sun came out and the Independent yesterday. So I have a feeling there's something behind it. What are your feelings, George? Didn't you? I know you saw it. What were your feelings when you first saw it?
I think it's a lot of bollocks. First of all, Everton and Villa are not selling either of those players in January. That means we would have to make a move for them next summer. We can't sell Lacazette because his contract's up next summer. He'll be leaving for free. So we're not selling Lacazette to buy them. He's leaving. That's fucking low-hanging fruit, isn't it? Saying that we're going to let Lacazette leave. We fucking know that. That's not insight. That's fucking common knowledge. Why would Villa and Everton sell to us? I'll tell you why they would sell to us, Everton in particular. They would only sell him to us if they could buy a better player. Why the fuck would we be buying somebody if they don't want because they can get a better player? Because we can't afford to force him out of Everton. They've got more money than us.
They do.
They don't need to sell to us. They're not even competing with us. Why the fuck would we get them Dominic Calvert Lewin from Everton? It's absolute bollocks.
But you know, George, up to yesterday on the Independent, they were that was one of the main stories when they focus on their transfer rumors. Ehab, do you agree with George that it's bollocks? Why would the club, or why would people affiliated with the club, or just random people in the media, be floating this rumor to open the international break?
Yeah, because it's international break. Because nothing's going on. You know, not everybody's gonna watch Belgium versus France, and this is what they do. They're looking for clicks. There's so much time, as Wenger once said. In the past, you used to have one news at 8 o'clock, or you have one newspaper that comes out in the day, and that's it. And nowadays, you have 24-hour news with hundreds of thousands of outlets, and they have to fill it up with something. And Lacazette ends his contract in next June, so he's gonna be off anyway. It makes sense that Arsenal are gonna try to get rid of him, but I don't think, as George said, I don't think anybody would be. I mean, unless we pay a lot of money to switch him with Calvert-Lewin or Ollie Watkins, we can give them Lacazette, but we have to pay them a lot of money because. Lacazette, why pay for Lacazette when we can have him for free in after 6 months? This doesn't make a lot of sense. He's still a quality player. Don't let what's going on fool you. He's a really good striker. And if we sell him, I was looking around, and they say he's worth around 20 to 25 million euros. If we sell him, we're not going to get anything close to that because he's got 6 months left. And we don't have the people to pull that trade deal to like we did with Alexis Sanchez, where they sent him somewhere and take someone else. This is not going to happen. So it's BS. It's just filling up time and getting some clicks, and that's about it.
But Ehab, you're absolutely right that Lacazette is a great player, but we have run down his value. He barely got on for 20 minutes last Saturday. We played Brighton, correct? Right? It was Saturday.
Yeah.
I can't keep up with the days. And he did a useful job, but he is deep down in the pecking order, and unless that improves, and unless we improve the PR around him, we're going to lose him for free in June anyway. But George, I remembered you.
He can't improve the PR around him because he's leaving in June.
Yes.
Yeah.
If we improve the PR around him, it'll be seen as us losing a good player.
Right.
They don't want that. They want it to be seen as we're losing Deadwood. So they make him fucking Deadwood. It's fucking time and time again this is happening. We can't keep the players, so we make them look like Deadwood so as the fans don't complain when they fuck off. It's so tried and tested. It's a joke now. The PR, there's nothing to do with it. Everything is PR. Jack Wilshere splashed all over the fucking club website. PR because people love Jack. Oh, I said this with Arsene Wenger that they would use his name when they could. And straight away, Mikel Arteta threw his name in the ring, saying he'd been in contact with Arsene Wenger because it's good PR. Arsene fucking said it was the opposite. He'd never fucking heard from him. It doesn't matter. The truth is irrelevant. PR is all that matters. And this is just PR. They cannot make Lacazette appear better because it'll make them look worse when he fucks off for free.
But George, the son of all the papers, immediately put paid to the idea that Lacazette is inferior to Calvert-Lewin and Watkins. He has more goals per minute, creates more chances per minute. He has more assists per game than all of these two. And I didn't even know that Calvert-Lewin had more games than Lacazette. Granted, he started playing for Everton as a kid, but he has had 150 Premier League. Well, I don't know if it's Premier League. They said games played. Yes, these are Premier League stats, George, to 130. And Lacazette blows him out of the water with goals 50 to 43. And you said if you start bringing in mediocre players, you're going to have a mediocre team. So the idea that they want to make Lacazette look like a bum, the Sun just put the kibosh on it. Your thoughts on that before we move on?
Well, those were my thoughts.
They borrowed your thoughts, George?
You just repeated them.
I gave
your own
numbers to
thoughts. Get your own thoughts, Shot. I'm sick of you fucking freeloading off me.
Indeed. But you know what I mean, George? Go ahead.
I just said so.
Yeah. Guys.
Plowing on.
Well, so let's go on to some real news. Maybe Lacazette should just keep his cards close to his chest and fuck off to Newcastle in the summer because he would probably get 300 or maybe 350,000 pounds a week because Mohammed bin Salman is worth $320 billion himself. Ehab, go ahead, George. You want to say something on that?
Yeah, this is the red herring here.
Yes.
That he's worth 350 billion pounds, as if it's his personal wealth that's going to be financing Newcastle. It's not. It's a sovereign state that's going to be financing him, no matter what they say. It's the same with Mansour. They say, oh, Mansour's worth 22 billion. It's irrelevant. He's just a figurehead. City is sponsored by the state with a a fund they can draw on, at the last count that I saw was £2,200 billion. It's not their money. They're in a different league to Roman Abramovich and Stan Kroenke and John Henry. It's not the guy who's in charge who they're saying has bought it. He's only token bought it on behalf of that country. So they are the richest club, but not because he's the richest owner, because that country's got more money than the other countries that own the other clubs. It's a complete red herring that the owners of these state-sponsored clubs are using their own personal wealth. They're not. They're just figureheads for the state.
Let's bring Ehab here. Ehab, you shared with me long before the Guardian and all of them got involved in this, that this is the Public Investment Fund, a state entity that is buying Newcastle. Then they started trotting out Mohammed bin Salman, but you shared with me, and I don't know if you have it in your pictures, the chairman of the Public Investment Fund, and you showed me the link to England to a public relations firm in England who was very much involved. In fact, the thing that strikes me, George, and Ehab, is that they completely they downplay the fact that the Saudis bone-sawed Khashoggi and that they had to pull the deal off the table last year while that was brewing. And all of a sudden they say, oh, the Qataris are happy now with the takeover because the Saudis have agreed not to pirate be in sports. I was like, you bullshitters, who are you fooling? But you, my good friend Ehab, have a good handle on this. Can you share with us what the hell is happening in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia with this deal?
Well, no, actually, as you said, it's an investment fund. And the investment fund is something that the government did. So it can buy businesses all around the world. This is what they because as a government, you cannot be somebody's partner in another government. You either, outsource or export your companies to other countries, but you cannot buy a company that started in another country. So they did this to invest in it. And this is the biggest investment fund in history. Nobody knows how much it is, because in 1971, when it started, it was $500 billion.
Well,
and
no surprise there. This is the largest oil kingdom in the world, but keep going.
Yeah, these people it's a way for the royal family to benefit, and the big names and the big people in the country to benefit from the global trade. And this is what they're gonna do now. They have done a lot. They have bought shares in Disney. They have bought Six Flags, which is the amusement park.
Yeah, the theme park in the States. Yes.
They have bought most of Uber. It's a $1.5 billion investment. They have spent $300 billion just when everybody was in quarantine and coronavirus, because everything was going cheaper, and businesses were going out of business. So they got things a little bit cheaper than they should. I'm sorry. Then there's now those people. This fund has a lot of money. It's not even trillions probably, and they bought a Newcastle for $300 million, and it's a part of reinventing the image of Saudi Arabia in the world, because Saudis as people are normal people. They have their own traditions, but they're normal people. They like to have fun. They like to laugh. They like to travel. They like to spend money. They like to make money. Blah blah blah. All these kind of things. And this was not an option, because religion was the governing rule around these parts, and religion basically doesn't want you to do anything. It just wants you to obey orders. So this is what they this is what it was, and now they are being freed from that just to be consumers, and they will benefit the rich and blah blah blah. I don't want to get into that. So now they are buying Newcastle, and there's a lot of money, and it's a PR move, 100% PR move. This guy that I showed, that I shared with you, Arumayan, who's the head of the PIF, and he's probably going to be the head of Newcastle, like you see Al Khalifi in PSG, or you see Sheikh Mansour in City. He's going to be the guy who's in.
Tell people the name again. Tell them the name again. Tell them who. Say it again.
Yasser Arumayan.
Arumayan. Yes.
Yeah, and this is he's actually a presentable looking guy. Fairly young, like he's not 70 or 80 years old, he's like 50 or 45, and I think he has a good relationship with the biggest PR company in UK, and they are the ones that are running a big part of this image reinvention of Saudi Arabia. So this is a part of it. What baffles me is they bought Newcastle, because as you can revamp the image as much as you want, but there's no way you are going to get Michael Jordan to sponsor Newcastle kits like PSG did. And there's no way, because it's these cities carry some kind of weight. If you're sitting first class in a plane from New York to Paris, you're probably gonna run into some celebrity, or to London. And this is how it's the thing that's I'm struggling with. They are looking at the Manchester City model, because Manchester is not like the biggest city on the global stage, but they revamped the idea behind UAE. The difference between UAE, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia is UAE and Qatar are very small countries.
Correct.
They needed this PR so they can get away with a lot of things, and they can make their countries look bigger than they actually are. They needed this so people will hear about them and figure they are a global player. They would play a bigger part. But Saudi Arabia is different. Saudi Arabia is huge. It has the same residents total as any European country. It's bigger in area than most countries. It has industries. It has a lot of things. So it's a country as a structure. It's a country. UAE and Qatar have the basic infrastructure to be a country. It's too small. It doesn't have the population, don't have the industry, don't have anything. So these people, they have other. They are not. They don't. The PR here is different. It's revamping the. It's just to look differently at these people, and the spending is going to be huge.
But Ehab, I'm gonna take it right back to George. You're saying that the Abu Dhabi group, I was trying to get the initials right, that took over Manchester City. You're saying that you don't know why they would go to Newcastle. George is from Oop North. George, they took over Manchester City and they propelled it to the top of, pretty much to the top of Europe from obscurity. I mean, if you recall, they were almost headed for relegation before they were taken over. And they are now top of the heap, and they transformed the market. They made life for Manchester United difficult. What is in it for them when they go to Newcastle? You have a better feel of that from all of us. Me and Ehab can speculate. But this is a one team city. I've spoken to people from Newcastle. There is nothing else except maybe for the rugby team. There's nothing else going there. What is in it for Saudi Arabia when they put $300 million to buy Newcastle and then spend $1 billion to redevelop the surroundings? What is in it for them? And another $2 billion on players.
Well, imagine that. If you if you improve the infrastructure around Manchester, you made a little dent. Yeah, it's a little dent in Manchester. You do it in Newcastle, and you've transformed the fucking city. You've transformed the city because the city is built around the stadium. The stadium is the city of Newcastle. They absolutely love the football. So you get all the benefits of the PR that goes from transforming an entire city, not a little area in a city, like Chelsea might do, we might do, Tottenham might do. One little area, Islington or
yes, correct.
Chelsea itself. You
Chelsea's
transform
Fulham, George. Chelsea's Fulham. Go ahead, George. Yeah.
You get all the benefits from putting Newcastle on the map. You become the flagship of Newcastle. Chelsea aren't the flagship of London, are they?
Nope.
You know what I mean? Manchester City aren't even the flagship of Manchester. But you can bet your fucking life Newcastle will be the flagship of Newcastle United will be the flagship of Newcastle City. The whole city will benefit. And that's how it'll be played out in the media. What these wonderful Saudis are doing for the entire city of Newcastle. And
what will they do, George? What will they do to the Premier League? You recall when City came into this that's this largesse. One of the first players they poached from us was Adebayor, and eventually, we sent
Gaël Clichy,
the midfielder from France who just retired the other day. Why am I? The young forward there, he retired at 30-something. All these players ended up there, including Kola Toure. Kola Toure ended up there as well. What does this mean for Arsenal and the Premier League?
Well, it's exactly the same as when Chelsea came in. They bought our place. Whatever our place was, second at the time, it probably was, behind Manchester United. Chelsea came in and bought our place, knocked us down to third. Manchester City came in. They bought Chelsea's place and Manchester United place and knocked them down and knocked us down to fourth. Liverpool Revival knocked us down to fifth. This will knock us down to sixth. Six will be par for us. And it has an effect, but with every injection of a new super owner, it's not as big an effect because we've already seen it. It's a smaller percentage. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Going from second to third seems worse than going from fifth to sixth. So it'll have that effect on us. It'll mean there are less players available to us. Our players will be available to them. And we'll just have to sit and watch as they go swanning past us in about 2 years. And 3 or 4 years, 5 years' time, they start realistically challenging for the league. And that's how it'll affect us. It won't just affect us. It'll affect Tottenham, Everton, every team. They're basically buying first or second place in the future.
First, second, or third, George? First, second, or third? Ehab, you agree?
First or second?
Yeah.
Well, George is second. Where do you see the aspirations, Ehab?
I like the idea. I like the simplification of it. It's true, and it means now, we bought all of those young players, and we have all of those young players, and we have 2 or 3 players on our team that really shine, like Saka, especially ESR, KT. Those players now are fair game because so the Saudi, as what I was talking about, the Saudi plan, they are not going to take as long as Manchester City. Manchester City was bought in 2007. They won their first in 2012, I think.
Something like that.
Yeah, those people do. Nowadays, the spending is more, the money is more in football, and those people have more money, and they are not gonna wait They have there's something in Saudi Arabia called Vision 2030, and this is the vision that MBS has put to transform Saudi Arabia by 2030, which is in 9 years. So probably they think in Champions League before 2030. This will be a goal, and it's achievable because money rules football. And I see them buying the big names, but I like City did. I see them filling the spots with players like Saka, like ESR. They already have Joe Willock. With players like like proven like Alan San Maxima, who they already have, like Richarlison from Everton. But they need the big names like Mbappe and Haaland just to attract everybody, just to have people focus on them and make it a destination. They probably looking at managers like Conte. There's a bunch of managers that are free on the market right now that they could hire that could just put the team together.
So George, you agree? Do you disagree that Saka and Smith Rowe and probably Tierney are vulnerable? Are some of their candidates? It's gonna, of course, it's gonna take a little while for them to get the right manager, but they're gonna spend like crazy. Don't you think Ehab is right?
Of course he's right. That's what I just said. I think it'll take, as I said, 2 years for them to pass us, 3 or 4 years for them to challenge for the title, maybe 5 or 6 for them to win it. At which point, it'll be them and City.
Plain and straight. Yeah, because by the way, George and Ehab, and I kind of text that on the Saudi Arabians and the Qataris are in some sort of competition. The Qataris have gas, and they have some other political interests. They are into the Muslim Brotherhood. I'm not going to get too political here, but they and the Saudis are in competition in OPEC for influence and for that area of the world, and they're not going to be happy to see City excelling them after 2-3 years. So I am with you guys. At least I'm with Ehab when he says they're gonna spend rapidly. What does the Arsenal do in response, George? do these people that we have managed the club have any idea of what's coming down and how to plan for it?
No, they don't, and because there is no way to plan for it.
Yes,
and this is the problem, and it's been the problem for 15 years. It's been the problem since Roman Abramovich tipped up. Our fans' refusal to accept that you can buy the top place at the table. I spent 10 years arguing that Arsene Wenger was doing miracles with the budget, 18th in transfer spend. And all I got was replies saying, it's nothing to do with money. It's not money. Football isn't about money. The fan base as a whole, not everybody, obviously.
Yes.
Vast swathes of them insisting it wasn't about money when it's quite fucking clearly all about money. At least 85%. I kept using that figure. There's a proven 85% correlation between spending and success throughout every league in Europe, every major league. 85% proven correlation between spending and success. So there is no argument with it. The argument against it is nuts. But it was an argument that most Arsenal fans were making. Like City, Chelsea shouldn't be passing us because, Wenger had been here for 10 years. He should have been able to build a team to compete against them. They're fucking idiots. And they're idiots now if they think that Newcastle won't be bigger than us. And they're even more idiots if they think there's anything any of us or any owner can do about it unless that owner is somebody with more money than fucking than Saudis. I said jokingly yesterday, we just got to hope that us getting rid of Mesut Ozil was paving the way for China to buy the fucking club because they've got more money than fucking Saudi.
Exactly.
That's our only fucking hope. That we got rid of Ozil for his criticism of the
Chinese
treatment of China for a million fucking Muslims so that they could buy us. I mean, it's a joke, but it's not fucking funny.
It's not funny, George, because that is the root of it, which they refuse to understand. And Arteta, this is not a Ozil show. I'm not what I do on Twitter is not. I'm not going to bring it here. But that was a root of getting rid of Ozil. But so you when you're doing your scouting career and your association with football, you have alerted me to the fact that there's so much money sloshing around in football, and there's so much deals. What do you do? What can Arsenal do in response to this? George says we are destined for 6. And I think he's absolutely right. We came from 2nd to 3rd. When Chelsea came on, we went down to 3rd. When Manchester City came on and the Liverpool revival pushed us down. What can we do in response to this?
Just be smart. I mean, and this minimalizes the margin of error. Nowadays, money wins everything. Money is the number one factor. But what you have to do is you have to work with the number 2, 3, and 4 factors and try to put them together. What you have to do is, money came in. Manchester United, Manchester City, and Chelsea came in, but we still managed to compete with them somehow.
And come fourth except for 2 years, George. Ehab, go ahead.
Yeah. We managed to get to 2nd place finish, won FA Cups. We almost won the league when Leicester was there. We were right behind Chelsea in one of the years when Mourinho won it. And this is what we did. You have to be smart. You have to buy the right now, the past 3.5 years have been a mess. We made so many mistakes, and we deserve to be relegated for it. For these mistakes, but we had so much money in the past. We made so much money. We had a great academy. This is a residual from Wenger's time. So this kind of held it together. Now what's going to happen is now we don't get away with the same errors anymore. You have to get the right players. There are so many players. We got to do what Dortmund is doing, what Lille did in France, what Leicester did here. Those teams, you don't have to spend. You have to do is you cannot outspend these people. Wait, hold on. You cannot.
George is wagging his head. George, tell him. Go ahead, George. You say what you think.
This is just fucking wrong. It's just fucking wrong. First of all, we had Arsene Wenger. We ain't got him, and we ain't getting anybody like him. But take him out the equation. Dortmund don't have 5 or 6 teams that can massively fucking outspend them. They've got one, and they fucking lose to it every year. Every fucking year. If they had 2, I don't care, because they've only got one fucking team that can outspend them. If they had 2, they'd have 2. If they had 3, they'd be 3rd. If they had 4, they'd be 5th. You can't do it. It's a fucking joke that people think. I'm sorry that you can do it through clever buying and good management. You can compete consistently when you're being outspent. You cannot. You can have a blip. You can have maybe 6 months, a year. The Premier League can fix it that you win the fucking league 1 year if you're Leicester. But you cannot, on a consistent basis, outperform these teams that are massively, massively outspending you. No team in the world does it. No team in the world has ever done it. And no team in the world will ever fucking do it. We have to accept we are where we fucking are.
George, give Ehab a chance. George, give Ehab a chance.
I get George's point, but they have Dortmund in the Champions League is no chump change. They're not a bad team. They in the Champions League where nobody wants to play them. They lost, it's quarterfinal, semifinal every year. The thing is, when they come to take Emmitt Smith-Rowe and Saka, we cannot hold them back. They're gonna throw so much money. There's business at the end has to make sense. But what you have to do is you have to get a good amount of money out of this. Like, okay, you want Saka, go ahead. We want 150 million for Saka, or 100 million for ESR, or 80 million for Kieran Tierney. Okay. If they are so insistent that they want those players, we need money back. We need money from, there's going to be how much, 2 billion, 3 billion to throw around of Saudi money. If they come your way, you have to take as much money as you can, so you can buy good players. They cannot buy. They can only buy 25 players, 12 of them that can be stars on a good day, and the
Well,
rest of the world.
they'll have probably 10 or so reserves that will make our first team. 10 people
Yeah,
on the bench.
the thing is, I don't need Mbappe, Haaland. We need Mbappe and Haaland on your team, but those players doesn't guarantee the win every time. You have to get the right structure, and with the money that you get, you have to buy the right players. We could discuss this. I mean, I would put Xhaka. He's better than Partey, and Xhaka is 50 million, as 32 million. Partey is 50 million. This is the thing: is the money that you get has to be enough to build a good, decent team. Then maybe you will not compete with a team that has Mbappe and Haaland and Messi and all these kind of players, and Saka and the Emmett Smith Rowe and all these kind of players, but you could at least compete with one of the three under it. Why is Liverpool up there? Why is Liverpool up there when they haven't spent nearly as much as those people? You have to spend good money. You have to spend good money. You have to get the right manager in, someone like Klopp, someone like, I'll be okay with Eddie Howe because he can build the team. But what I would do is I would get these players and try to build the team the right way. You can get any player you want for 80 or 90 million. If we get 150 for Saka and 100 million for ESR, 70, 80 million for KT, you can rebuild well, but there's no space for error. You cannot make mistakes now. You cannot squander money and lose for 3 years straight and run contracts down and sell these kind of people. You have to buy right when you get the money. You have to buy the right players. You have to find gems. You have to improve your youth teams, and this is the only way to do it. There's no space for error, and you have to do it the right way.
George, you discounted. I'm gonna give you a chance to say the last or close to the last word. George, you discounted Wenger in your presentation earlier, in your response earlier. And what Ehab is saying, Wenger didn't sell Adebayor to City for 30, I think it was nearly 30 million pounds. In those days, it was a huge amount. Nasri, for whose name I was forgetting, sold him for a princely sum to City. Kolo Toure went up there for nearly 20 million pounds, if my memory serves right. An aging Kolo Toure, by the way, George. And Clichy went up there. Sagna went up there. But that money went to buy people like Ozil. And we came
like Giroud, like
Giroud and others. Are you following me, George? We can't discount being wise with your money, picking Saudi Arabia's pocket and over, because they're gonna spend 100 million pounds is nothing now, George. Don't you think if these characters were smart, they could keep us on or around the top four? What Ehab is saying that they are not smart and they're not going to keep us around the top four. George, you are not there with us. Your phone.
They're not smart. They're not smart, and they're not going to keep us in the top four. And nobody is. Nobody is. It won't happen. I'm telling you now. It's all right. They're saying, "Oh, you can buy smart." Every club's trying to buy smart. Every club's trying to buy fucking good players at the right prices. We're not on our own. We haven't got Arsene Wenger that can go to France and pick up fucking Robert Perez. Everybody knows about Robert Perez.
I'll pick up Nasri, even pick up Nasri, George, and from Marseille. Took him from there.
Yeah, try that now. Try that now, just 10, 12 years later. Mm-hmm. Everybody, fucking kids playing Football Manager know who can fucking play and who plays where now. Never mind managers. These players they're not available to us any more than they're available to Everton, Tottenham Hotspur. And the only ones you can get are the ones that the top guys don't want. And if they don't want them, that's because they're not as good as what they've got. So you're not competing with them because they've got better players from the get-go because they're buying the better players.
But George,
sell Emil Smith Rowe for 50 million, and you say, "Oh, you can invest in if you invest wisely." Yeah, if you can find them, but everybody's looking for them. It's not. Why would we be? Why can we do it when no other club in the world can do it? Tell me a club that's done it. Tell me a club that consistently performs year in, year out, competing with bigger clubs, richer clubs. Just one. I'll just have one example.
I have one question to ask you, George. I'm going to answer your question with a question. So why would Arsene Wenger say, I can compete?
Because he had to say that. He had to say it. What's he going to say? I can't compete with this shit. I'm off.
No, George. But his reputation was at stake.
He's telling you what you want to hear. And he did compete.
He did. That's the point.
If you understand, he was competing for second, then third, then fourth, then fifth. He wasn't competing to win the fucking league.
That's my point. That's my point, George.
Which is at our level. And our level is now sixth. We can compete for sixth. I agree with Ehab. If we sell our players, if we sell Smith Rowe, if we sell Saka, we can reinvest that and we can compete for sixth. Because we're not fucking competing for it at the moment, but we cannot compete for second, third, fourth, let alone fucking first.
I disagree with you, George. I disagree.
It's not going to happen. I'll piss if we get top fucking 4 in the next fucking 5 years. I'll piss.
George, you know you and I agree mostly, but I disagree with you on one point. And I'm perhaps Ehab should come in here. Let me finish, George. Let me finish. Arsene Wenger said we were competing to become top 4. That's the nub of the road. These assholes said top 4 is not a trophy. Ehab, isn't that is my point. I think if you're smart, recognizing you'll never win, well, you'll hardly ever win the title unless the Premier League fixes it, favors you, you can say, I am aiming for top 4. I'm competing for top 4. Ehab, what are your thoughts on that? You think, after all George has said, and George, remember, George is always prophetic. That's why I have him here. Ehab, what are your thoughts on this?
This what you guys said is right. You're not gonna compete for the top spot now. We agree on something, all of us. The situation of the club, even if we didn't have Manchester City and Newcastle United and Chelsea, we're not gonna make top 4. Even if they, the oil money and the mafia money never made it into the Premier League. Our situation as it is today, the way that we play and the way we waste the club resources, we're not going to make it into top 4. There are players. There are teams like Leicester and West Ham and Everton, and so many teams that deserve that spot. Those spots much more than us. They play much better than us. And this is the thing is, if we go back to what we think Arsenal is, what Arsene Wenger convinced us Arsenal is. Which is a club that should be always around the top. What you have to do is play your best football and try to be in that top 3, top 4 area and see how it goes. But even to do that, you have to manage the club well. You have to get money. You have to buy. You have to buy well. You have to invest well, and you have to have the right manager. Liverpool is the biggest example. They have only 2 players over 50 million, and they are the keeper and the CB. And the rest of the team is like Salah was 33, Mane was 30 million, Firmino was 19 or something like that.
Yes, he was cheap.
Henderson they bought him a long time ago for 20 million or something like that. So all these 12 million for Robertson, TAA, I don't know. He
came through the academy, I think.
Yeah. So this is the team that they put together. Leicester has put a strong team together without spending much, although these 2 people have very rich owners, those 2 teams.
Yeah, but they're destined for FIFA or 6. I don't know. They want to be 4th, by the way, but I don't know if they're good enough for it.
Yeah, what we need to do is we should try to aim to be on the top 3, on top 4. because
No.
and this is
That's where I disagree with you.
We need the manager,
top
we
4,
need the
period.
system, we need the players. But once this is all sorted out, when we are playing like we are a top 4 team and we have a top 4 manager, we cannot keep making those mistakes that we're making now. This is
Hang
what
on.
I'm saying.
Go ahead, George. Go ahead.
How are we going to get a top 4 level manager any more than we're going to get top 4 level players? They're not available to us either.
George, 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 let's agree on one thing. We are squandering money left, right, and center. If we keep at that, they'll never be able to get a good manager. Let's leave it, because that is what it's going to take, George, to get us to be a competitive position. Right now, we are mired in mid-level, mid-table, and we're going to be pushed down by Newcastle. Can we say we all agree on that?
We spent more than anybody in this summer, and we are playing like 10th. This is, what you have to do is, you can spend like, how much more are you going to spend on a center back than 75 million? Like they bought Virgil van Dijk at the right time, at the right. This 75 million, it's gonna inflate. So if you need the perfect defender, it's gonna cost you 100 million. But if you sell right, you can compete for 100 million CB. We already bought a 58 million CB that I don't know that we need it or not. But the thing is, if you want your team, oh my God, am I still there?
Yeah, keep going. I'm gonna wrap up in a minute.
Yeah, if you need, you can win the league or you can compete for the league with a 30 to 40 million player in each position. And this is much cheaper than buying 200 and 150 and 85 and 89 and 30, 49 million players in each position. With a 30 to 40 million player in each position, with a decent young bench, you can be in top 4. And this is what we are spending right now.
Well,
this is what I'm saying.
Well,
with the
guys,
right manager, of course, because Arteta is not the right manager right now.
Well, and time will tell. We spent 250 million pounds. We're 11th, and people are going to say, wait until the end of season. George is pessimistic. He thinks that we're going to be pushed down. Yeah, George, is that correct? That we don't have the resources. We both agree that we are misallocating, wasting resources. I mean, apart from the 250 million, there's 100 million that was spent when Emery was here. $72 million pounds alone on Pepe. And, poor fellows, I don't blame him for that price tag. Don Raul, I don't know how much was to the agents and company. Let me not slander anybody before they shut me down. You see what I'm saying? I don't know. If we can get the right manager, and unlike most of our other fellows who claim to love the club, but decided that top 4 was not good enough, because of despite the, as George says, the competitors that will outspend us heavily. Anyway, George, we will see, and we'll be talking about this. Guys, tomorrow we'll have the entire crew reviewing this, how we are at 7 games. I hope you all are on board. I know some of you are on board, but I'm just reminding the audience, we'll take a look. We will not be focusing on Saudi Arabia per se. Thank you guys for this very, very enlightening discussion. And look forward to tomorrow with you. Bye.
Great, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.